Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking at a book from Tolley LexisNexis, and it's in 5 volumes, and it's an extremely useful book, but of course it's, as I say, a bit of a first for us because we've never actually looked at 5 books together. This is part 1A, and you can see it's called Tolley's Yellow Tax Handbook 2010 to 11. Part 1A, Income Tax, Corporation Tax, Capital Gains Tax, CGT. And it has the relevant statutes to start us off. And you've got at the side the useful shading to show you where the various acts are. This starts off with income and corporation tax from 1988. What you have got, which I think is the most important and helpful of the things about the book, is you've got a very useful preface which is on the front of each of the publications, and you've then got the publisher's note which sets out where we are at the moment and the various changes that have taken place, because this is an ongoing issue, because obviously there are various legislative reforms taking place throughout the year. That's part 1A. Part 1B, again, the same coverage with the acts, the actual taxation areas, and you've got various other statutes covered the same way it's done there. And then for part 1C, again, the same income tax and so forth, and again it's covering again further legislation. And what is very useful, of course, about the legislation are the useful comments. It's very difficult to see here, but the very useful comments made in certain places concerning the effect of some of the pieces of legislation. Do be aware that the pages are incredibly thin, just like Stone's and some of the other ones, so they're very easy to tear. What we've also got are on part 2, we cover again income tax and so forth, and that covers the statutory instruments and so on. And again you've got the same shading. And then what you've got finally with part 3, which is that one there, is you've got inheritance tax, national insurance contributions, tax credits, and petroleum revenue tax. And again you've got the same way in which it's structured. It's a huge amount of work. Professor Anne Redston has written this and put it all together, not obviously every single word, but she's put everything together, and obviously the team at Tolley LexisNexis must be congratulated, because this is the definitive work. We've given it the title Indispensable for Practitioners. Today, Tolley's Yellow Tax Handbook for 2010 to 11 is now out, and of course it will all change again. I'm recording this in 2011, and we will be looking again later in the year, in the late summer and early autumn, to the new editions coming out, as we see how the coalition takes its current policies, fiscal policies, and its legislation to fruition. Let me just make a couple of points, and that is that Professor Redston has produced a useful preface, and there is a note about how to use the publication within each of the volumes. It's in its 51st edition, and it comes, as I say, in 5 volumes. Without doubt it's the definitive work on tax. Obviously it's complete, and it's therefore necessarily gargantuan in its size as a guide. The fact is that this huge multi-volume work is a reference for everybody, and it's indicative of what the consultant editor Anne Redston refers to as Britain's Byzantine tax system, which the government has promised to replace. We will be looking forward to seeing quite a lot of that. There's a detailed review on the website and of course in the journals to cover what's actually in the Yellow Book itself. It's been endorsed by the Chartered Institute of Taxation, and the handbook of course covers, as I say, a very wide area of main tax. There is additional material also, including extra statutory concessions and so on. One thing I think is important to bear in mind with both the Yellow Book and its sister publication, the Orange Book, is that they are annuals, and you can keep up to date with them now online, because what you've got, although the information is presented with this book as at July 2010, no changes are made after that, because there are supplements which are issued as of course Parliament looks and reviews the various legislation. So let me conclude by saying that Tolley gives us the most indispensable up-to-date position it can give which is possible, with what is a fundamental tax work. And obviously it's been put together by a team of people, and it is one that is most important, not just for accountants and anybody involved in taxation, but also for lawyers. And as I've said before, do look at the publisher's note on the front, and that will indicate where we're going from now on. So thank you very much to Tolley's and to LexisNexis for this excellent work. Bye bye.